welcome. Tina McDermott here, Tina's Joyful Kitchen, and today I am going to show you how to make these Paleo pumpkin spice truffles. I should have had another P in there somewhere. Paleo pumpkin spice truffles that are so yummy, the entire family, even the kids, are going to love, 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 love. All right, we're gonna start. I'm gonna do everything in my blender here. You can do it in a food processor, you can do it in a blender, it doesn't matter. You choose, whatever you want. So we're gonna start with a liquid. I use coconut flour, and we're gonna do, let's see, let's start with pumpkin. How's that? Pumpkin puree. Do not use the pumpkin pie filling that you find. I want pumpkin puree, okay? That doesn't have any spices, it doesn't have anything in it, because if you buy the pumpkin pie filling, that's got spices in it and God knows what else. So let's just stick with that. But in a blender, always start with something liquid first. Don't put the powder first, it'll get gumped up at the bottom. Then we're gonna do a 1/4 cup of some coconut butter. You're like, Tina, what in the world is coconut butter? It's literally the coconut oil and the coconut meat all ground up to be in a, oh, look how luscious that is. Doesn't it look luscious? In a buttered format. Now, this is hard at room temperature, kind of like regular dairy butter is. And so what I did, you'll see here, I put it in a in a pot with water, and I boiled it so it got nice and liquidy. So it got nice and liquidy. Better than putting that in the microwave, because when you put it in the microwave, it destroys the enzymes and everything else. So we don't want that. We want a nice, good coconut butter in there. Coconut's wonderful for you, antiviral, antibacterial, antimicrobial. Really, really, really good stuff. We're gonna do 2 bananas, but make sure your bananas are nice and ripe, because when you get this brownness on the banana, the sugars are really popping in them, and that's what we want. This is a sweet treat, and it's nice to do the sweeter banana, okay? I always like to take those pieces off. And compost, putting that right in the compost. Here we go. Let's do our second banana. There we go. I wouldn't do frozen bananas in this. It'll impart too much liquid, so don't do frozen bananas. Do whole, ripe bananas. Next, we're gonna do 1/3 cup of coconut flour. Now, with coconut flour, let me see if I have this strainer here. Coconut flour tends to get clumped up. Because it's got fats in it, I store this in the freezer, okay? And there tend to be clumps in it. So I like to use my little sifter and push it through. I know I'm using a blender to blend everything up, but if you're making a cake with coconut flour or something, I want you to get into the habit of using your little sifter so that you don't get big clumps of coconut flour. Oh, it just got all over my countertop, whatever. Okay, so something good to do. Okay, so I've got coconut flour in there. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons vanilla protein powder. I want to say a word about protein powder that's really, really, really important. Any of the protein powders that I use are clean protein powders. What that means is that it doesn't have anything artificial in it, and that is super duper important. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons, and I know I have a tablespoon measure somewhere in my life. Here we go. And 2 tablespoons of some protein powder. Now, mind you, this gives some good protein for these wonderful truffles, but not enough to make it like an actual meal. But it's really nice to use some protein powder. Yeah, I know, big fat scoops there. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is a whey protein powder. You can use plant-based if you prefer, but Garden of Life is one of my favorite companies, okay? Don't know if I can plug them, but. Next, we're gonna do our spices. We've got cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. Those are the pumpkin pie type spices. Put those right in there. And then what else do I need? Got the bananas, got everything. I got it all. I got it all. I'm gonna put the lid on there, and I'm gonna blend this up. I'll be right back. Okay, my blender got a little mad at me because the filling is a little on the dry side, coconut flour loves to absorb liquid. It is very thirsty flour, okay? Very, very thirsty flour. So I used my tamper to help mix it in my blender. If you have a food processor, it might be easier for you to process it in a food processor if you don't have a Vitamix. This is a Vitamix, super high powered, and it did a beautiful job. It was just done. By the time it started to make that crazy noise, it's done, okay? So you can see it's mixed beautifully. It's exactly what we need. Now, from here, we're gonna make our truffles. So what I've done, I have, of course, my tray that's gonna go in the freezer. I made sure I have a nice flat spot in my freezer, because I know, if you know my freezer, things are like clumped up all over, so I had to flatten everything out so I can slip this into the freezer. And I also have this handy dandy little scooper. It's not an ice cream scoop, they call it a server. And this will help get nice even balls with my dough. And if you don't want to use, if you don't have a server, make balls with your hands. Make balls with your hands, and that's the idea. We want nice round little balls in here. Here we go. Because later, we're going to put these in the freezer for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, overnight if you want to. It's a fun thing to do with the kids. Have them frozen, and the next day you dip them into the chocolate and whatever other toppings the kids want. And we're going to do that as soon as these come out of the freezer, okay? And yeah, it's a fun thing to do for this part might not be the funnest for the kids, but the dipping into the chocolate will be. Now, to dip into the chocolate, we'll do that in just a few moments. We're gonna melt the chocolate in a double boiler, and that will come up really, really, really soon. Why do I love these? Because there's no sugar in them. They're low glycemic. They're low, and they're not gonna spike your blood sugar levels. Do you ever like get low sugar, like, oh my gosh, I need to eat something? It's probably because you had too many carbohydrates a few hours prior to that. Too much what I call sugar, blood sugar. It turns into blood sugar. And we wanna eat foods that are low in the glycemic index so that we have sustained energy throughout the day. And you want sustained energy. Who doesn't want sustained energy? You know, think, oh my gosh, I need coffee. You don't want to have to want or need anything. You want to want coffee. I have 1 cup of decaf coffee every single morning, not because I need a pick-me-up, because I've got energy. It's that I just love the flavor of coffee. It's my favorite ice cream flavor as well. So here we go. Almost done here with making our little truffle balls. Again, you can do these with your hands, put a little, grease your hands with a little coconut oil, and that will help. Or if you have one of these handy dandy servers, I'll tell you, I never thought I was a gadget girl until I discovered gadgets. I'm like, oh, I really like gadgets. I really like my gadgets. Yeah, this blender did a beautiful job at blending this through. And I like to store these in the refrigerator and freezer. If I'm gonna eat them that day, like serve them at a party, put them in the refrigerator. If you're gonna save them for like, oh, let's have one after dinner every day, store them in the freezer. And at the beginning of dinner, take them out of the freezer so that by the time it's time to do like a little snack, a little something sweet, then you have it, it'll be defrosted enough and the center will be nice and gushy. Okay, let's do one more. Get one more out of this. Can't waste any of it. This is good stuff. Pumpkin's really good for your stomach, by the way. If you have any kind of digestive issues, I have 3 dogs, and anytime they have digestive issues, pumpkin goes right into their food bowl. Pumpkin goes right into their food bowl. Okay, here we have it. I'm gonna pop these in the freezer, and then when we come back, we're gonna dip them in some chocolate and some coconut, shredded coconut, and some other fun things. Be right back. Hello and welcome back. The truffles are frozen and we're ready for step 2. Now I've done this already. I've melted chocolate chips. Now you can get Lily's dark chocolate chips sweetened with stevia, lower in sugar, or you can get regular dark chocolate chips. It's got a little bit of sugar in it. We can have a little bit of play every once in a while. I melted them in it. This is a double boiler. Ouch, it's hot. It's water underneath. And I put a little bit of coconut oil in there, about a teaspoon of coconut oil. That just helps to melt the chocolate beautifully. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dip it in the chocolate and then dip it in a little bit of coconut shreds. Now you could chop up nuts and roll it in nuts too. I just thought about that. So let me move this over here, and I find a toothpick works, but let's see. If it doesn't work, we'll use our fingers. Or you can use 2 forks. Well, toothpick did not work. Can't win them all. Can't win them all. It's okay. Here we go. Ooh, doesn't that look pretty already? We'll dip it a little bit in some coconut, maybe not a ton of coconut. You can also do this with forks or with toothpicks. I'm going to do it with toothpicks. Dip it in the chocolate, dip it in a little bit of coconut, and here we go. Maybe I can coat this one completely in chocolate. Make sure you take these right out of the freezer and then coat them. Don't wait. Otherwise, they'll start to melt on you, especially when you put them in the hot chocolate. And it's okay. You see how I didn't cover it completely in chocolate? That's okay. It gives it character. They're not all the same. We're not all the same. You know, when you buy things from the store, everything's the same. Not when you hand make, especially when you hand make things with love. Now, you notice also I didn't dip all of them in the coconut because not everybody likes coconut. So I didn't do all of them in the coconut. Okay. We'll do some in the coconut, some not in the coconut. Look how fun these are. So when I'm done with these, I'm going to put them back in the freezer for just 5-10 minutes. And then they'll be ready to rock and roll. They'll be ready to rock and roll. When I mean rock and roll, I meant eat. They'll be ready to eat. Look how pretty they are. And these are so nutritious. These are so good for you, even with the chocolate. Yes, you can have your chocolate and eat it too. Yes, you can have your chocolate and eat it too. I'm going to put a little coconut on that one. There we go. And they don't all have to be super pretty. It's okay. Oh, I got that one completely coated in some chocolate. There we go. It's okay. This is just a little labor of love. And again, store them in an airtight container in the refrigerator for about a week, or put them in a freezer baggie in the freezer, obviously in the freezer, and pop them out right before dinner, and right at dinner time they will be ready to eat and be super scrumptious and yummy yum. Because I love chocolate. Self-confessed chocoholic. Love my chocolate. Okay, here we go. Now, if you didn't want to coat them completely in chocolate, you could just drizzle the chocolate over, but personally, I think more chocolate, the better. The more chocolate, the better. Now, on some of these, I didn't dip in the chocolate, but I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more coconut right on the top. All right, I have to confess, using the 2 forks is the best method, not the toothpicks. All right, here we go. Okay, there we go. I have a little bit more shredded coconut, and the ones that I didn't dip, I'm just going to put them on, but not all of them, because not everybody likes coconut, although I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. I'm going to pop these back in the freezer for about 5 minutes, and then I'll be able to show them to you on a pretty plate. Be right back. So there we have it, our pumpkin pie spice truffles, ready to be enjoyed. Thank you so much for being here in this session.